Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to At Lafayette Live here on Monday, November 10th, 2025. And thank you all for joining us. I won't try to get too far ahead of myself as people get loaded into the live chat. And as a matter of fact, I was just trying to get myself loaded in on my phone. I use that as just a double check to make sure that everything's going well, and I was actually having a little bit of trouble with it. So while I'm doing that, thanks everybody for being here. How's your Monday going? There is absolutely no doubt that winter is upon us. We got a dusting of snow over the last 24 hours. Some friends and family up in northwest Indiana got a foot or more of snow. You can keep it. I don't want it. If you happen to be some of my friends, some of our regular viewers watching from elsewhere in the country, from Southern California or Arizona, you have no idea what I'm talking about right now, do you? I hope you're enjoying your warm weather down there. Perhaps you're watching from uh, Texas. I know we've got some regular viewers from the Austin area and from the Houston area. I know we got some regular viewers from the Orlando area in Florida. Yeah, snow. I mean, it's November 10th. It's certainly not unheard of, but it's also not something that I really want either. So, take it for what it's worth. It's a lot colder. I'm that cheap dad. I don't want to pay for the heat yet. Are you cold? Yes. Put on more clothes. That's the answer to that, of course. Sorry, I'm still futzing around. I don't know what's going on here. Normally, I don't have any trouble loading up the live show on my phone as we do this, but technology appears to be my foe this evening. I truly don't understand why. I'm going to check one more thing, and then we'll get going for the evening. We do have things to talk about here. We did have a show last week, so we're not backed up like we have been. One of the things that we're going to talk about here a little later on the show is a market update, as we often do here. The data takes about a week or so to finish coming in and lock up for the end of the month. So, depending on where Mondays fall, it's always the data locks around the 7th of the month. So it could be anywhere between about the 7th and the 10th, 12th of the month that we actually get the data ready for the show, and we've got that ready to go. And I was taking an interesting look at it that we haven't taken a look at yet, and that's kind of a weekly look. Just in that we often look at the month-over-month data, but with everything that's been going on, I really, really thought it would be interesting to take a look at the weekly data. I don't get too much into politics here. There is no doubt that politics really affects the real estate market. I mean, you can't have one without the other. There's no doubt about that. But I don't like to get into the weeds of us versus them. That's not what this show is. But with government-backed mortgages, you got Fannie and Freddie with FHA mortgages and USDA. There is absolutely no doubt that the federal government is a big part of our housing market and definitely greases the wheels and makes it go. So that's why I wanted to kind of look at the weekly breakdowns to talk about what that effect really was on our local market. But I think I have all my technology sorted out now, so let's go ahead and dive in. And some of these topics tonight might be a little bit of a rehash for you, and that is one of the things that is a theme through the night that I wanted to lead off with. Is there's been a lot of development news here in the area. Really, the last few years, the economy in the Greater Lafayette area is really, really, really firing on all cylinders, and that's a fantastic thing. There are new factories going up all the time, not just now, but there have been for the last 10, 20 years, and really even longer than that. new houses, new retail coming along with that, new sources of power, new utility. And one of the things that really kind of struck me about this is that we hear a lot about, oh, this group, this board, this council, whatever, approved this thing. They must be in somebody's pocket. And I kind of take exception to that, in that I think that there are a lot of great people who are just doing their best, that are serving their neighbors as civil servants in positions of leadership that are elected. I mean, you certainly have to want to put yourself out there if you want to be elected, but if you want to have a voice, you go out there and you run. And am I saying that the system is perfect? No, absolutely not. Not that Pollyanna-ish, but I also don't believe that it's that broken. And the reason where I'm going with this tonight is the development news that we're going to talk about is some development news that we've already heard about, and we're going to hear some updates on how some of it is going forward, how some of it's taking a little bit of a pause, and that is because so many things development related here in the Greater Lafayette area have a multi-step approval process where one board might look at it in a couple of different ways and give some preliminary approvals and then give final approval. But in that case, that final approval is actually only an advisory opinion to another council or another board, who finally get final say on that, so that there are multiple stops along the way for these developments. So some of these you have heard about. And that's the way it's designed to work. And that means the system is working well. And first up, there is a new high-rise development that has been bubbling away through the development process through Area Plan Commission and the West Lafayette City Council on Chauncey Hill. It is the Chauncey Annex. This is across from the old Chauncey Hill Mall, which is not there anymore. There's a high-rise that's currently rising. I believe they have 2 tower cranes on site right now. Really cool to watch that go up. But Chauncey Annex, across the street, the same developer who's developing down on the levee at the corner of State Street and River Road, they are building the Rambler apartment and mixed retail complex down there. Want to build a new 15-story mixed-use development, main floor retail, and then 14 stories of apartments above. On the Chauncey Annex, had been making its way through the approval process, through the planning process. This is a planned development. And the city council kind of tapped the brakes a little bit, just in that 2 of the advisory members who sit on the Area Plan Commission sit on the West Lafayette City Council. And that is what the Area Plan Commission is. It is a board that is made up of representatives from municipalities and other executives here in the area. So this plan from Texas-based LV Collective had to go before Area Plan, and the 2 West Lafayette City Council members voted no and expressed some concerns about this project. And it was supposed to be before the West Lafayette City Council at their City Council meeting just a week ago. That's always fun. City Council meetings, Lafayette and West Lafayette, are most always on the first Monday of the week at the exact same time that we're doing At Lafayette Live. So we're always a little watching a few things at a time, depending on when the show lands. So the concern there was that these 2 city council members were going to vote no, and were they a harbinger of other things to come from the city council? So the developer asked to pause the approval for a month to pull that from the agenda. So that's going to go back on the West Lafayette City Council's agenda for approval, I believe, at the beginning of December. That would be December. Let me put my calendar here. I think the next city council meeting is Monday, December. It would be the 1st, I believe. And they are now working on to edit the proposal. So there are going to be 22 units that have indexed rents. So there'll be affordable units tied to them. 22 of the total units. Trying to see how many units were total in this development. 290. So a little under 10%. About 8 or so percent of the units would be affordable based. There's actually a process behind how we do that. The royal we, how that is established. The aim is to have studios at $1,268 a month, as opposed to other studios in the Village area that go for $2,068 a month. And before we all go crazy and that's crazy and too much for a studio, that's the market price. For better or worse, the owners of these properties have set the prices based on supply and demand, and people are paying them. And when will prices go down? When people stop paying the prices. And that's the reality of the situation. If people did not want to live there and did not want to pay the rents, they wouldn't. For better or worse. Now, does that mean it's good and easy? No, I'm not saying that at all, but definitely saying that, these places are renting and that we are still undersupplied, and a number of houses and housing, number of beds in the West Lafayette market, in every part of the market, in the single family, in multifamily, in apartments, and student housing, in everything. So we still need this development. Some of the controversy around this particular development was that some people didn't want to see this height of development on this side of State Street. It is directly across from similar developments of the similar height on the other side of the street. Is that important to me? Yeah, my opinion doesn't really matter, does it? Right? Does no more, no less than anybody else's opinion. But the problem is that because of how this planned development works and the fact that it has to go through these steps and processes and get approvals through Area Plan Commission and zoning and all of this, is they can't just go, you know what, instead of 15 stories, we're doing 12 stories. No, they have to go back to the beginning and go through all of the entire approval process again. And for better or worse, that's the law that we have set up here in the Greater Lafayette area and in Indiana, and indeed around most of the country. So that's coming. I will definitely keep you updated. We'll have a West Lafayette City Council meeting at the beginning of December. In the past, I would have told you that our development is our governmental units are all fairly pro-development. I believe that's still to be the case. But is this a slam dunk? I don't think so anymore. Is it a slam dunk? No, I don't think that's the case anymore. I don't think that's the case either. I think we'll have to wait and see what the reasoned opinions of the West Lafayette City Council members have to say, because they do represent their constituents. They, of course, represent their own opinions as well. But there is also, law and rules to follow about when it comes to property ownership and development. And so if you're interested in finding out what happens to that, hit the like and subscribe button so that you don't miss any of the updates here on the Lafayette Reel, and every Monday at 7 o'clock on At Lafayette Live. Moving on, more development-related news. We've heard this one before. Lennar Homes, who is the number 2, I believe, in volume nationwide builder of homes, is coming to the Lafayette area, is coming to unincorporated Tippecanoe County down on the south side. It's at the intersection of Concord Road and 430 South, so that's just about 3/4 of a mile south of the south side Walmart. Lennar is going to build 103 homes. They're going to range in price from $380,000 to $430,000. This is going to be in zoning R1B, which allows for slightly smaller lots. The R1B lots, I believe, are 53 feet wide. There was a lot of controversy around this approval process. Again, it went before area plan, where some neighbors came and said, we don't want this. And the landowner basically saying, we own the land and the rules say that we can do this. And the county commissioners now got to vote on it, and this is why it's coming back around, got to say, as the executive for the county, they're the executive branch of our county government, and there are 3 of them, voted 3-0 for this request. And it's kind of filling in one of the last remaining plots of land in that general vicinity. Neighbors definitely arguing about, traffic congestion, road development, density of housing, affordability of housing. But I'm just going to say, as a realtor, $380 to $430 for a brand new home, that's basically entry level pricing now. Anything sub $200,000, going to need some love, is the nice way to put it. In some cases, going to need a lot of work. I'm not saying you can't find something for 180, 190, but the sub 200,000 is an older national home that doesn't have many, if any, updates. 900 square feet, one bathroom, no attached garage. The reality is that 380 to 430 is just, middle of the road, entry level, for definitely for a new home. So that has been approved. I don't think that we have a groundbreaking date, but based on what I've seen, some other developments going on around here, if there are not shovels in the ground now, there will be very soon. I know that we have winter is upon us, snow on the ground outside, but stay tuned for updates to that development coming up. And then next in our development related news this evening, data centers. Data centers has been one of the big topics of concern here in Indiana the last few months, year or two. Big users of electricity and water for cooling purposes. None have yet come to Tippecanoe County, to the Greater Lafayette area, but to make sure that the area was prepared to deal with anything that did come up, the Area Plan Commission put together some zoning to help reel that in for the next year. It's got a sunset clause built in, but we've talked about that in depth. Go check out the videos that we've already done about this. But the reason that it's coming up again today is that Lafayette and West Lafayette have also approved those zoning codes. Again, Area Plan Commission creates them, approves them, proliferates them. Proliferate's not quite the right word, but sends them out for the area executives to approve or not approve. So Tippecanoe County, Lafayette, West Lafayette, Dayton, Battleground. I'm missing one. It'll come to me, or it won't. And Lafayette and West Lafayette approved this. So it's limiting the size of data centers and the zoning that they can go in. Basically, it keeps it down to less than 10,000 square feet, and it's got to be an I-2. And the reason for this is there's just not a lot of I-2 in the area. So if somebody did plop into Tippecanoe County in the next year and decide that they want to try to put a data center here, they would have to go for some rezoning requests. But they're going to spend the next year, the Area Plan Commission and the city councils and the councilmen and the commissioners are going to spend the next year putting some thought into crafting a longer-term zoning solution for this. So that was approved by the two cities, so that's an update there. Like I said, today's updates were really all about revisiting things that had already been in the works, had been bubbling away, had been improved in one form or other, but now have their final approval. All right. That wraps up development news for today. And like I said at the top of the show, we're going to talk today about a market update here for the Greater Lafayette area. And the data set that we're going to look at is Tippecanoe County specifically. And I got to say that I've spent a lot of time talking about what is the Greater Lafayette area. And I'm talking about Lafayette and West Lafayette, unincorporated Tippecanoe County, but I'm also talking about all the surrounding counties, Fountain County, and Warren County, and White County, and Carroll County, and I know I'm leaving somebody out here, and I apologize. They all kind of follow the same trends. The volume is certainly highest where there are more homes in Lafayette specifically, and in Tippecanoe County generally. But we're using this data, as a stand-in for the entire area. But this is the data set, and this week we are actually going to look at the weekly market report. And the reason that I want to look at weekly as opposed to monthly is because of the government shutdown. And again, we don't delve too much into politics here, other than how their direct effect on the local market. This is undoubtedly affects the local markets. So the shutdown started on October 1st. So as of today, 41 days ago, we're about to get back up and running. It would seem the Senate passed a test vote last night. The House has to act now. I believe they're going to do so within, I think it was 72 hours, day and a half maybe it was 36 hours. But sometime in the coming days, as members were getting back to Washington to vote on that. So basically what I want to say is the shutdown had almost zero effect on the local market on a week-by-week basis. Now, part of that is because the local market is healthy. Real estate's a hugely local thing. But another part of that is that trends in real estate, tend to be, 30 days. Most closings, I don't have the exact percentage, north of 50%, somewhere between 50 and 90% of closings I would hazard close in 30 days. If you got cash, if you're a developer or a flipper, you can close faster. However, there are also homes that close slower than that. Might be involved in probate and an estate sale for various other reasons that things go longer. So 30 days means that really, if the government shut down on October 1st, then we really wouldn't see that effect for about a month, till about November 1st. An argument can be made for that, but we're going to look at a whole lot of data points, and I think that we're going to find that it just didn't have that much effect locally. Now, things continue to develop here, as they always do. We're always just looking at a snapshot in time. But let's start here. I got to figure out which button to push. It's not that one. I think I want this one. Yep. So this is week by week through the end of October. So if you can see this, the last bar on the chart is the week of October 27th. So that would have been 27, 28, 29, 30, 31 being Halloween, November 1st and 2nd. So that is when that data ends. And these bars are the number of new listings that have come to market in Tippecanoe County in that particular week. And the end over here, October 27th, so basically November 1st, and all the way over here at the end, September 2nd. So we have a little more than a year sitting here. And if you look at this chart, other than for the last 8 months, or 5-6 months till about February, it's essentially flat. I mean, goes flat, 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 up a little bit, flat, 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 up a little bit. This is the seasonality of sales. And if we go back to September, we'll kind of see that same kind of pattern. Then it kind of falls off in November. So if we look longer term back to the week of November 25th, it's like, oh my goodness, the market crashed back then. And it's like, no, that's really not what happened. If we looked at the yearly trends, if we looked at over trends, it would look exactly the same. The real estate market is really, really, really tied to the temperature outside. Is the simplistic way to put it. The colder it is outside, the less sales that there are. So the market indeed did not crash back in November, December of 2024. But if we just look back, government shutdown October 1st. Here is the week of September 29th. New listings, 55. It's actually been the highest of the last 4 to 5 weeks. And again, kind of follows that same pattern. First week and then a few weeks. But all definitely in the pattern. So we did 55, 39, 41, 46, and finally the last week was 44. And we can see that's just the pattern. We have about the same number of new listings coming to the market each and every week, going back months, basically through the beginning of June. There was a little bit of peak of May. Really, this data holds all the way back to February, week of February 24th, and preceding that, it was the winter malaise. So that's one data point. We got to look at all of the data points in relation to each other to go, what's the market look like? Is there a good time to buy? Is there a good time to sell? Is there a bad time to buy or bad time or sell? And the answer is you buy and sell when you need to. Do you need a new house? Do you need more space? Do you need to downsize? Are you coming here for work? Are you moving away? Then that's when you sell. And waiting isn't going to really get you anything. We spent a long time talking about that particular data point. Next up, we're going to talk about inventory. And again, government shutdown October 1st. So the week of September 29th. Check it out. Each bar is the number of homes available for sale in Tippecanoe County across the entire county for that particular week. Look at these bars. For all intents and purposes, going back till about September 1st, flat, all within spitting distance of 350, plus a little, minus a little of 350. The last week of October, first week of November was 411. Highest that it has been, but following this trend line, it's been ticking up. Now, what does this mean? This is the single biggest change in the highlights of numbers that we look through on a regular basis here on At Lafayette Live. The number of homes for sale has been increasing. It had been rather anemic over the last few years, and we can see this particular chart just goes back about a year, kind of hovered around 200, a little sub 200 throughout last winter, and it's growing. Is this of concern? It's too soon to tell is the answer on that. Again, market seasonality. We're getting into a colder season. We expect a few homes to take a little bit longer to sell. The historical number for a balanced market in the county would be about 300 homes for sale. And anything north of that, anything higher than 300 would be a buyer's market. Anything less than 300 would be in a seller's market. We have undoubtedly been in a seller's market for a very, very long time. But I think with the population growth that we've seen over the last decade or two and the amount of housing that has not kept up with them, but it has come along with those, I think that number is closer to 400. And it's hard to peg that as an exact number. And even that, it's not an exact number. We use a number as a stand-in to represent, a general consensus, a general feeling of like where the market is. And I think that number is 400, maybe even a little more than that. And we can see that we're sitting on a 4-week average of 396. And last week, the last week of October, first week of November, we were at 411. So just this bit of data by itself might indicate that, hey, we're now in a balanced market, and a little more inventory on the market would move us up towards a buy. We'd go from a balanced market to a buyer's market, and then, hey, all you buyers that want to come work with me can now make offers that undercut the price and all of that. And that could be the case. Come talk to me again next month and the month after, in February and March and April. We'll see how the rest of the data moves along with it. Now, if it becomes a buyer's market in and of itself, that is not a good thing, because if it is a buyer's market, that means more buyers are going to come to the market, and they're going to throttle that buyer's market pretty quickly when they start trying to outbid each other. There's a yin and a yang. It's a balance to all things, light side and dark side. A little bit of the force there. But moving on, all of these data points tell a story, and we look at them individually, but they all definitely relate to each other. And this is new pending contracts. This is on a weekly basis. This is the one that is driving a little bit of the previous number we saw, where there are more homes on the market, in that there are slightly less than there have been. But this particular data source, actually, the statisticians give us an expected range and an actual range. And we're under the expected by a little bit. Our expected for the last week of October was 35.1, and the actuals were 32. Now, on a percentage basis, that's, 8, 9% under, but just on a sheer numbers basis, it's 3. It's just 3. So, it is under, but, again, we've talked already about the seasonality of the real estate market here in not just in the Greater Lafayette area, everywhere. It's everywhere. We can kind of see it builds through the summer. We get to May, we get to June, July, and August, and then we would expect it to fall off. We would expect it to fall off quite this quickly. If we look back to October of last year, and let's go week of September 30th, we were at 40, we're at 35, we're a little under. Again, government shutdown October 1st had basically zero effect that week. And this is pending contracts. This is going, hey, I would like to buy this house. Here's my offer. And the seller going, yes, I accept your offer. So this is, in some ways, the most real-time result, because if you had any doubt about buying a house, if you thought the national economy was imploding on you, you would not write an offer. You would not send an offer on a home. You just wouldn't. People have to move all of the time. It didn't fall off that week. I'm going to go with this data shows it didn't make a whole lot of difference. It's still in the ranges of what we have been seeing. And while we talk about what we have been seeing, if you don't know this, I'm Jeff Cooch with the Russell Company, powered by At Properties. And if you would like to talk about home here in the Greater Lafayette area, go to thelafayettereal.com/YouTube and reach out, and let's work together on buying and selling here in this market that we are analyzing in so much depth, because our next number is closed sales. This is the house is yours now. Congratulations. Here's the key. You got all the way through the closing process. You got through signing your name a whole bunch of times. Check it out. Just kind of look at the graph for a second. Goes back about a year. But here, the last week of October, we expected 38. We had 40. The first week of October, last week of September, first week of October, we expected 36.3. We got 36. Dead on. The number of sales that got to the closing table through the month of October 2025 was exactly where we expected it to be. Doesn't seem to be falling off a cliff by any means. Falling off with expected seasonality, certainly, yeah. But moving on, price. I love talking about this one. So two of these related together. We're going to talk about median sales price, and the median for the week of October 27th was $317,000. But if we just kind of look at this chart, this line that I'm following is a $300,000 line. So kind of a low of about 260 and a high of about 360, with a median right in the threes. If we just kind of run a line, through where that median would be, where that halfway point would be. So, goes up and down, because we're looking at a weekly chart here. We're not looking at monthly or yearly. So we're going to see, definitely a little bit spikier data here. But the week of September 29th, first week of October, it was down to 277, but back up to 327, moving around in that range that it has been moving. So no collapse of price in October by any means. But this is when I say this, what I like talking about this one. This is the one that I really like to talk about, because people are like, I'm not buying till house prices come down. I'm going to give a little bit of a caveat that don't freak out at the last data point in this. There's a reporting error in this chart. I went back to the data and checked the data, and this is not reflective of the actual data, just on the last point, and it looks worse than it really is, and it's not bad. But this is percentage of asking price. This is, did the seller get the price they were asking for? And the 100% line is the next to last line here along the top. And we can see that it's been hovering in the 90s. I mean, this is the low point over the last year was down at about 94%, 93.7%, and it's been up above that all along. Then we get down to this last week, and it got down to 91.8, so 92%. I went back to the data and ran the numbers manually, and it is it is north of 95. I didn't note the exact number down, so this is a little bit of when these charts when this data kind of clears out, the statisticians sometimes have to go back and do a little bit of cleaning on the data when weird things happen. Sometimes like a final price didn't come in, so it'll put it at 0 instead of the actual price. So there is automation building charts and things like this when you're talking about these large data sets, but there's always a little bit of cleaning to be done with it. And when we're talking about trying to use it in a short time frame like we are, this data just locked up a couple of days ago, it does take them a little bit of time to clean that data and do some QC on it. But I did my own QC, and so it is more like in the mid 90s. So definitely above 95, and really 97, 98%. Only in like the last month or two has it come down to 95-ish, 96-ish in that area. And so what sellers are basically getting 3 to 5% less than their asking price. And that really comes down to concessions, asking for help with prepaids, because the asset is the house. That is where all the money is for both the seller and the buyer. So, the seller might hold the asset and have, all of this equity in it, but the buyer's not walking around with $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 in their pocket. Their equity is going to build over time, and they're going to build that into their debt of their mortgage. So, sometimes the asking price is going a little bit above, and then we're going to ask for a credit off of that to bring it back down to the actual ask. And sometimes we're going to, go at the ask, and with the market, with the number of houses that are on the market currently going up a little bit, we're going to go, you know what? We're giving you a full price offer, but we're asking for 3% concessions to help pay for a new roof, to help pay for new AC, to help pay for closing costs, to help pay for our broker, whatever it might be. And there are some loan products that most loan products have, various amounts of how much you can, what percentage you can do that with 3, 4, 5, 10%. Not a mortgage loan officer. But some a little more, some a little less, but seeing around 3%, 4%, 5% off of the asking price to deal with those transactional costs is completely normal and expected. And all that we've really seen over the last year or two is just kind of a move off of, what if you're offering if you're selling your house for $200,000 and I need 3%, I'm going to offer you $206,000 and then ask for a $6,000 credit. Now we're going, hey, $200,000 and I need 3%, $200,000 and I'm just asking for that 3%, and sellers are accepting it for the most part. Houses are sitting on the market just a little bit longer. So the number of homes coming to market is about the same. The number of closings is about the same. They're just sitting on the market a little bit longer and don't have days on market in this weekly report. Let's look at the monthly report to look at that one number, and then I want to show you one other number, because days on market was not in that report. New pendings, market momentum. Here we are. This is the entire Tippecanoe County area. October, 29. 4 weeks. And we can see coming back to April, it was 5. So we've gone from slightly less than a week to about 4 weeks. We are now in historical norms. But if you look at the banding here of how the statisticians are looking at it, and they're looking at the data over the last couple of years and doing math and all that, running some algorithms through that, we are above the banding of what's expected. So those days on market are drifting up. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Well, it's a good thing for buyers. It puts more houses on the market, gives you more choices in front of you at any given time, and gives you time to be thoughtful about your purchase and about your offer. You can look at a house and then have a little bit of time to think about it before you put an offer in. Now, if it's the perfect house at the perfect price, that's no guarantee that it will be available tomorrow. So you still have to act when you see the one that you want. Is it a good thing for sellers? Well, if you need to move now, then waiting almost a month, can be bad, but it takes about a month to close. So in and of itself, it's neither good nor bad. When the rest of the market starts moving a little more, we will hopefully we will know a little more. It's really, really early in this reporting process to tell kind of what's happening here. We have this one or two whacked out data points that are really changing: the days on market and the number of homes for sale, but not a lot of other data points are moving along with them just yet. So in another month or two or three, hopefully, we will know a little bit more. The other numbers will start to move in chorus with these numbers that have already moved, and we'll go, oh yes, this was indeed the beginning of a change, or no, this was just a weird outlier, a confluence of some strange events, and now these numbers that have moved are going to start to move back into the expected range of the rest of the numbers. I hate to say we don't know, but I'm also not going to lie. Like, sometimes you just don't know. But one more there's one more chart that I wanted to look at tonight. It didn't load. I'm going to hit refresh and see if I can get it to load. There it goes. Okay, it loaded. Fantastic. We're talking about the market as a whole. But the fact of the matter is that there are actually two markets and really a lot of sub-markets going on here. We're going to talk about inventory by price. Do I want to talk about inventory? Is this the chart? Yeah. Do I have market momentum? Pending sales by price. Pending sales by... This is the one that I want. I want days on market by price. This is what I want. Here we go. Days on market by price. This is the 12-month rolling median. It's currently at 13 for all prices. But check this. The headline, under $250,000, it's at 6. That's 6 days on market. And at least $250,000, it's 17 days on market. And we're going to break that down even more. We talked earlier about some of these new developments and how hard it is to get a sub $200,000 home here in Tippecanoe County, and the ones that are available need some work, need some love. In the $150,000 to $250,000 range, it was 8 days median on market, so a week plus 1 day. So if your house went on the market on a Friday, by the following Saturday, so not the next day, but the following Saturday, you had an accepted offer on the median. But a year ago it was 4. So it has doubled. It has gone up by 100%. That is a lot. It's a week. When we move up to the next price band, $250,000 to $350,000, and it was 10 days. So if your house went on the market on the 1st, it sold, had an accepted offer about the 10th. And it has gone up about 60% from 6 days to 10 days. But this is my tale of two markets. Check out this grouping here. Between $0 and $350,000, it's 3 to 10 days. Half a week to a week and a half. There's a big jump here. $350,000 to $500,000, it was 19, and now it is 26. It is almost 4 weeks, and we see a similar $500,000 to $750,000 went from 20 days to 33 days, 4.5 weeks, more than a month. And if you're fortunate enough to have enough cash or equity to buy a premium home, $750,000 to $999,000, it went from 28 days, from 4 weeks to 40 days, a month and a third. And then finally, our $1 million plus homes, 76 days. So 2.5 months. But what I really want to talk about is we're talking about a tale of two markets here. If you are sub 350, guess what? 10 days, median days on market. If you are 350 to call it 750, we'll look at these two as a band together, you're 26 to 33 days, 4 to 4.5 weeks. So if you're buying a house for up to $350,000, you still got to move pretty quickly. Now, do you have to make a decision overnight? Well, maybe not, but we are talking about averages here. This particular average is a median. This is the middle number of the data set. But that does mean that, for if there are three houses, one could sell in a day, one could sell at 10 days, and one could sell at 20 days, and that 10 day would be your median. And so yeah, that one that sold in one is still in the average. If you like the house, you got to buy it, but at most you have about 10 days on the median. Now you might have more days. If you're a first-time home buyer, if you're not buying a premium product house, if you're buying a slightly smaller house, if you're buying a house that needs some work, any of these things, then the market is still moving pretty quickly. If you're buying a premium house, a new build, a smaller new build, something that has been updated, something older has been updated, a home with a lot of square footage but in an older neighborhood, and then moving on up, if you're buying a true luxury house, then you have 4.5, 5 weeks to do that in. But it also means that if you have something to sell, that it's going to take a little bit longer to sell, and you've really, really, really got to price it right. You got to price any house right to sell. But if you have your $250,000 home priced wrong by a few $1,000s, then there's enough homes for sale and they're moving fast enough that you're more likely to get some offers. If you have your premium house priced wrong and you think your $500,000 home is worth $600,000 and the market says no, then you're going to sit a whole lot longer and wait a whole lot longer to get somebody who's going to come to you with an offer that you might find insulting, which is to say that, when you're a realtor, and I am one, I'm Jeff Gooch with the Russell Company powered by At Properties, and I'd love to advise you on the sale of your house, but we spend a lot of time and care and love and logic and math and analysis, pricing homes, and the market sets the price. So you really got to get your marketing right. You really got to get your price right. You really got to get your approach right. You got to get everything right. And it really is a tale of two markets. It's kind of 350 and below, and then 350 and above. But that is what the market looks like here in Tippecanoe County through the end of October of 2025. If you had found this useful at all, please, please, please hit the like and subscribe button. It means so much to me that you help out with others finding our content here on YouTube, here on the Lafayette Reel, and every Monday at 7 o'clock on At Lafayette Live. And if I can help you find home here in the Greater Lafayette area, go to thelafayettereel.com/YouTube and fill out the form, and let's figure out how we can work together to help you find your perfect home or sell your perfect home and find your next perfect home. But with that, thanks so much for watching on this Monday evening. We will see you again next Monday for our next edition of At Lafayette Live. Thanks, everybody, and have a great week.